Professor at the University of Lille here in the area in computer science, and I will spend my time devoted to interaction in the physical world. First things, some elements about the interaction. As a technical person, when you want to think about interaction, you have to keep in mind that as long as we live, whatever you do in real life, especially when you are in front of something like this or different material form, you are making three things at the same time. The first thing is that you get data from the application and the computer. Most of the data you get them through the ears, the eyes. Second, a bit through the ears if you have the sound. Very roughly using the hands, only if you have a force feedback device. Second thing that you do is provide data to the application and the system. You provide them using your hands, mostly on the keyboard or the mouse, or you make things with Kinect, but this is only starting. You can give a bit of information through the speech, that is sound, if you speak. For very specific games and things, the eye blinking may make some sense as well. And the last thing you make is think about the things, the reason why you're in front of the computer and what you feel. Whether you are being stressed or tired or relaxing, you are in a certain context that also influences the way you interact and what you expect to do and what you can do. So as long as we integrate interaction in the reflection for a game, if we talk about games, it's a lot, whatever you do, about the user age, the user intent. You play for learning something or just playing for relaxing. What is your age? Whether you are a 4-year-old children or a 60-year-old person, you don't behave the same way. Are you an expert of games? Are you used to the Kinect gestures, or have you been playing since you were young and you are now 40, so you have the joypads in hands? Are you playing privately or in public? All this changes in practice the relation between the person and the application. And in the general case, think also about this type of interaction system. The purpose, the main goal of the surgeon here is to have the patient being correctly intervened, not the game itself. And the game would be interacting on computer images. So when you are gaming, actually, you can make things that are centered to the application or something that relates to something else. It's also a fact that may change the way you interact. Aside from this context, if you take a look at what this can do, your biological hand, forget about the computer. This is an absolutely extraordinary device that allows you to act on the world, to express things from a human to another, and you can retrieve informations. You can retrieve shapes, you can retrieve mechanical behavior, you can retrieve temperature, you can retrieve many things using this same device. The way we use it with computers is very basic. It didn't change much in the past decades. So the question we target in the research team is the question to know how to improve what we can do with hands when being in interaction with a computer and computer application. So there are bunches of problems that we address that range from the question of the data acquisitions, how to retrieve this. There are more and more solutions, hardware solutions. From the solutions that are available from the hardware point of view, we need to extract the events. Keyboard and mouse provide very basic, normalized events on which you are used to build up very complex arbitrary applications. When you're making something like this, all of you understand the gesture that I'm making, but my movement is much more complex, much beyond than all the positions that make the gesture. So what we are used to consider as an interaction event when it comes with hands, it's much more complex than what we have in practice, and we need to work on this intermediate layer as well. And third, we provide feedback. A few examples about the things that we have done and the problems, the kind of problems we address. First, one of the things is that any of you ever tried to design for public spaces tactile systems? Most of the trials are faced with a practical problem, is that when you are interacting and a kid shows up and is willing to be curious and see what's going on, the fingers of the child are also on the tactile display. And whether you are interacting or not, it doesn't work any longer. If you are in winter, the clothes put false positive detections. If you are tired, you have your iPad, you're just grabbing it, the hand goes a bit on the tactile system, doesn't work any longer. So we have to think about all those problems and not think in terms of, okay, the technology has been made like this, so we have to learn, and we have to learn how to interact. The key question that we address is, okay, what are the current problems? How do people use technology? And trying to design tools so that we can make things work. This work is based on the statement that if you take one very simple problem, one line goes from the same point A to the same point B, and you wonder how many things, how many times differently you can make this line. Actually, you have several things. You can adjust the speed, you can stop, you can make many ways on the same line, the same pixels. You can use several fingers, you can use both hands. Basically, you have an infinite way to use one same geometry, one line, that goes from the same point to another. This variability we need to understand. We need tools for getting this so that we can go beyond the variability to go to the symbol, or integrate this variability into the complexity of the game, of the application we target. Another point is that when you're in front of a Kinect system, whether you are just living, talking with the person who's beside you, or willing to interact, your hands are being captured. Whether you're interacting, stretching your hand and things, it is being captured. So the question that is it solved with this kind of systems to know how to enter and leave interaction. For this type of systems, when you touch, when you have tactile contact, you start interacting. When you just want to stop, you remove your hands. This is the physical world. It's not a problem because we live in a world, it's physics that solves the problem. Here we have a new problem. How to enter and leave interaction under easy, reasonable way. Say wave, to wave high. It can be okay for private. It can be ridiculous in public. It's been shown that when you're in public, you don't want to be ridiculous, so it's small gestures. So we are exploring a way to interact which actually allows the person to mime an interaction window creation in front of you. You imagine the space, you design, you specify the space in which you are, in which you want to interact, and when you have this window, you can make things just as if you had a tactile window in front of you. Once you're done, you can take it away and throw it away. And when you are done, you leave interaction, and then you can make things once again. One last thing that helps understand the kind of activity we have, we are exploring new ways to create and handle geometry. It's known, it's common that we have stereoscopic displays. If you have the window horizontal and a system that allows you to have the head position retrieval, you can take a look at the object, stereoscopic. You can combine it so that you look either left or right way, so that you have really the impression that the object is raising up from the table. And we have designed a prototype of interactive system in which you can grab geometry, put it apart so that actually you can create things. And from a user point of view, the fact you have collocated with your hand the visual feedback of the things that you're doing, trust me, it is cool. One last thing that we have made, most of them with Le Fresnois Art School, was just a few hundreds of meters away from here. We've been working since a couple of years on artistic installations. Because artists, just like many other fields of applications, are willing to use technology for making new things, and some more and more interactive artists are interested in providing new ways to interact with the system. So this application has been done a couple of years ago. You can see the year here. It's a musical device on which you can mime the fact to act on balls with intensity, and in practice it worked well, and because it uses the Kinect, the Microsoft website actually welcomed this. If you're interested in it and you have specific question, the guy that made the installation is right there at the end of the room. Now I want to talk about Bread Vector. A short question, how many of you know this guy? Okay, I should take a picture. This guy is actually the one that significantly contributed to the Apple interaction systems, the iPads, iPhones, and things. He has a bunch of very interesting talks. I strongly encourage you to take a look at the guy on the website. One of the things you won't find, because it's very recent, is that WIST is a well-known, is one of the very top conferences in the HCI field. He spent some time explaining that when you live in technology, when you know the tools, when you become an expert of the tools, in spite of all of our current efforts, we tend to think in the space that the tools is designed for. So if we want to go and instantiate a new way to interact with the system, we have to be able to think aside of the tool. Otherwise, we are stuck in this. A framework is a frame. It helps working. During these 3 days, great tools like Unity will help you make things really fast. But if you need to make something that is aside the framework and make some sense, you need to think in a way so that you think about the thing. Otherwise, you think in the frame. So, what can be done from this? Yeah, just, okay. First thing is, think like a kid. It's about making cool things, making things that do make sense, and we have been learning in the real world. So it's about manipulate things, and it's about thinking outside of the technology. Then when you have something that makes some sense, you can think about how to make it.